What's up, guys? This is Alex from the Duran, and today we're going to be taking a look at a video taken from the Peter Strzok testimony. Now, this video is kind of the famous video from Peter Strzok's 12-hour testimony to the House, but it's famous and for all the wrong reasons, and let me explain, and you'll see the videos. It's actually two videos, one from Fox News and one of the actual testimony. Now, the reason this video should be examined is not so much for the theatrics of it, but more for the substance. And let me explain. Now, Louie Gohmert was questioning Peter Strzok, the FBI agent, in the middle of the Clinton investigation and the Trump collusion investigation. And obviously, I think it's pretty clear that Strzok is not only creepy, he's a complete liar, and he was completely biased, and he was out to get Trump. That's obvious, and the testimony, I think, highlighted that. But one of the interesting things is that aside from the segment where Louie Gohmert, which has gone viral now, where Louie Gohmert says, Peter Strzok, you're such a liar, and I'm sure I wonder if when you looked at, the eyes of your wife, if she knew that you were lying and all that stuff, because Peter Strzok was having an affair with Lisa Page. And so Louie Gohmert was calling Strzok out on his extramarital affair, and he was calling him a liar, a very good liar, and he was wondering if he lied like that to his wife. But the most important part, and let me get back to the most important part, was the fact that Gohmert kind of highlighted that there was hacking going on into Hillary's server, and that hacking was done not by Russia, and there was information taken out of the server, and it was transmitted outside of the server to a foreign country, to a foreign entity, not Russia. And Gohmert highlights that in his Fox interview, as well as during the testimony. So take a look at the video. It's really fascinating that no one's paying much attention to this fact. It's a huge fact because it shows that there was a foreign entity actually hacking in to classified documents, American classified documents that were held by Hillary Clinton. And that foreign entity is not Russia. Of course, Gohmert doesn't name who that country is or that entity is, but it's huge news that wasn't paid much attention to by the mainstream media. But we got it here in these two interviews. Take a look. Let us know if you like it. If you do, click on the subscribe button down below. Also click on the notifications bell to get notifications every time we push out a new video. And visit the Duran shop. Pick yourself up a t-shirt. Help support the Duran. Until next time, guys, take care.
One of the Republican lawmakers there, Louie Gohmert, and things boiled over with him during the hearing. He blasted Strzok for the impact he had on public trust in the FBI and his personal behavior.
The disgrace, what this man has done.
The gentleman from Texas will suspend for a moment.
There is the disgrace. And it won't be recaptured anytime soon because of the damage you've done to the justice system. And I've talked to FBI agents around the country. You've embarrassed them. You've embarrassed yourself. And I can't help but wonder when I see you looking there with a little smirk, how many times did you look so innocent into your wife's eye and lie to her about Lisa?
Mr. Chairman, this is outrageous.
Credibility of a witness is always an issue.
Mr. Chairman, please.
Mr. Chairman, this is intolerable harassment of the witness.
What's wrong with that? You need your medication.
It was a free-for-all, and you heard that comment in, do you need your medication? Congressman Louie Gohmert, did you lose your temper, or did you intend to bring up his personal life decisions?
No, I didn't go into it intending to do that, but as I sat there listening to him so smugly, his little smirk, and he had lied repeatedly, and he knew he was lying, I knew he was lying, and yet he still would lie. And I'm telling you, the unfortunate thing is about that last exchange I had with him, it may have clouded over a very, very important story, and that is that he was told by the intelligence community Inspector General's investigator, Frank Rucker, that they had found an anomaly in the emails going to and from Hillary Clinton's unauthorized private server, and It was when they forensically examined the anomaly, they found embedded information, and it was a foreign entity, not Russia, but a foreign entity that was getting every single one of her over 30,000 emails.
So wait, Congressman, just to stop you there. Just to stop there. Russia. So you're saying that in Hillary Clinton's emails, they were forwarded to somebody else?
Yes, and it was because they were hacked. And Horowitz didn't point that out, you know. The previous story, you know, that Comey gave us, well, it was not a good server. It was possible that it got hacked, but there was no evidence it was hacked. And then we find out, and that's what I brought out today, that the intelligence community IG brought it to their attention, and they did nothing. Nothing. And this is a foreign entity not related to Russia in the least that is getting everyone. There were only 4 of over 30,000 emails they didn't get. They were going to and from. She compromised America's security.
Congressman, one of the many people who questioned Peter Strzok today and will probably question Lisa Page tomorrow at about 1:30 Eastern time. Congressman, thanks so much.
Thanks, Brian. You said earlier in this hearing you were concerned about a hostile foreign power affecting our election. Do you recall the Intelligence Community Inspector General, Chuck McCulloch, having an investigation into an anomaly found on Hillary Clinton's emails?
I do not.
Well, let me refresh your recollection. The Intelligence Community Inspector General, Chuck McCulloch, sent his investigator, Frank Rucker, along with an IG attorney, Jeanette McMillan, to brief you and Dean Chappelle and 2 other FBI personnel that I won't name at this time about an anomaly they had found on Hillary Clinton's emails that were going to and from the private unauthorized server that you were supposed to be investigating. Now, do you remember it?
I remember meeting Mr. Rucker on either 1 or 2 occasions. I do not remember the specific content or discussions.
Well, I'll help you with that too then. Mr. Rucker reported to those of you, the 4 of you there, in the presence of the IG attorney, that they had found this anomaly on Hillary Clinton's emails going through her private server. And when they had done the forensic analysis, they found that her emails, every single one except for 4, over 30,000 of them, were going to an address that was not on the distribution list. It was a compartmentalized bit of information that was sending it to an unauthorized source. Do you recall that?
Sir, I don't.
Well, he went on to explain it, and you didn't say anything.
No.
You thanked him, you shook his hand, but the problem was that it was going to an unauthorized source that was a foreign entity unrelated to Russia, and from what you've said here, you did nothing more than nod and shake the man's hand when you didn't seem to be all that concerned about our national integrity of our election when it was involving Hillary Clinton. So the forensic examination was done by the ICIG, and they can document that. But you were given that information and you did nothing with it. And one of the things I found most egregious with Mr. Horowitz's testimony, and by the way, Horowitz got a call 4 times by someone wanting to brief him, leaving messages telling him about this, and he never returned the call. He had 500 pages of bias that he gave us. And then he threw a bone to the Democrats and said, but we can't find bias. And let me tell you, when you have text messages, Mr. Strzok, the way you do, saying the things you did, you'd been better off coming in here and say, look, that was my bias. And you kind of get around to that a little bit when you say, hey, you know, everybody's got political views. Those are called biases, and we all have them. And you have come in here and said, I had no bias. And you do it with a straight face. And I watched you in the private testimony you gave. And I told some of the other guys, he is really good. He's lying. He knows, we know he's lying. And he could probably pass the polygraph.